Good morning, and welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living here in the heart of Las Cruces, where your center is still alive and well in all of our hearts. I'm Reverend Bonnie, the community spiritual leader here at the center, and I am so grateful for all of you who joined us last week via Zoom. It was fun to see people in those little squares, and if you missed it, you can still see it on our YouTube Spiritual Pathways channel. It was a wonderful service in collaboration with Unity for International Day of Peace. So I want to thank Unity as well for joining us for that lovely celebration last Sunday. So be sure to join our weekly Spiritual Circle discussion group Wednesdays at 11. Again, that's over Zoom. You can jump in at any time. They discuss various articles out of the Science of Mind magazine. You can also go to our newsletter for other Zoom invites for things taking place related to our teaching all over this country and possibly even around the world. So go to our website and see what things you can join and what classes you can take over the internet. We had wanted to have a yard sale this fall, and instead, what we are looking for, since many people planned on that and started collecting things out of their homes, is some garage space or room space where people who have collected things can store things until the spring, and we will have our garage sale in the spring. So if you have any space where people can move their stuff out of their homes and keep it until next spring, please call the center or call me and let us know. Thank you. And we have exciting news. Thanks to our board president, Bob Greer, who really pushed for this. We have recessed lighting out in front of our door, so drive by in the dark sometime. The lights come on by themselves and go off when the sun comes up, and you can see our place lit up. It looks absolutely beautiful. I'm also grateful to all of you who have been giving your tithes and offerings over the web, mailing them in or dropping them through our slot in the back. We really are still doing some amazing things here in this community, and so all of your support helps us tremendously, so thank you. And we are still tithing 10% of everything that comes in. This month is El Caldito, who receives our 10% tithe. And El Caldito is the soup kitchen down at the Community of Hope, and there they are serving people in a manner that is safe with COVID-19 happening. They are still providing food, and they are using the funds that we give them to cover the food supplies and other supplies necessary to run their commercial kitchen. Now I would like to introduce our board president and practitioner, Bob Greer, as he brings you our board report.
Good morning. My name is Bob Greer. I'm a practitioner here at the center, and I'm also your board president. It's my honor to be a part of this. I wanted to give you a report from our last board meeting. First, I just want to thank all the other board members who have been a part of this thing. We've had great support and turnout, and it's been wonderful to work with these folks. The updates that I have, I wanted to give you a brief update of where we're at financially as a center. We've talked about this in the past, but just to recap, we back in April, we applied and received a what's called a PPP loan from the government. We received about $8,500, and that was used to keep things going and to help make up the shortfalls that we had begun to see in our donations since we stopped having live services here. That money hopefully will be forgiven, but we haven't heard yet back from the feds whether they're going to do that or not. Every indication is they will, but we haven't heard yet about that. So what's been happening is since then is that we've seen a kind of a decline in our regular contributions, which is to be expected since we're not meeting in person and we're relying solely on those of you who think about us to be able to contribute whatever you can to help us. And that decline has started to get to the point where we're a little concerned about it. You know, we have reserves, we have options, but I just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of where we were at. And I wanted to ask for any of you that are so minded to think about giving us a donation or a tithe, And one of the things that I do that works very well for me is I have an auto thing set up through the bank where it just automatically sends a certain amount of money every month. That way I don't have to think about it or remember it. And the center appreciates that because they have that regular donation coming in. So just please consider it if you can. We'd appreciate it. You can bring if you can bring a check, you could drop it off through the door. Go to our website and you can make donations through PayPal or others, and we certainly appreciate it. Our center, our beloved center, is alive and well, and we continue to know that it'll be that way, holding it in high consciousness. And but this strange times, 2020. And on a side note, Reverend Bonnie mentioned it, but on a lighter note, I was going to say, we've added some lighting out front, which was a personal thing of mine that I wanted. It's pretty dark out there at night, so if you get an opportunity to drive by the center during the week after sundown, you'll see a brightly lit front of our building, and it looks great. And I want to especially thank Faith Brown for making a donation to help cover the cost of this. That was a big help. None of the funds for this came out of our regular money. It was all donated, and we're very, very happy about that. So things are great. Thank you very much, and we'll talk soon. Thank you.
Please welcome our practitioner in service, Barbara Reesner.
Good morning. I'm Barbara Reesner, your practitioner in service for this beautiful first Sunday of fall. And just a reminder that even though we're still in lockdown, practitioners are available to offer affirmative prayer with you over the phone. If you don't have a number of one of us, please call the office and we will get back to you. And one more reminder is that we have the prayer request button on our website now, to where you can have the electronic option of putting in your prayer request on our website. And as usual, the practitioners and ministers are still working with you and your prayer requests on Tuesday afternoons. So let us take this time for a song, silence, and a prayer.
In this moment, I am faith. Faith is this moment. Faith, faith, faith. This moment is what I in this moment, I am truth. Truth is this moment. Truth, truth, truth. This moment is what I in this moment, I am still, still is this moment, still, 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 this moment is what I
So in this moment, let us remember and reflect on what we know is the truth of us all. Our connection to God and Spirit is the strongest connection we'll have in our lives. And that connection to Spirit is what binds us together, always and in all ways. The bond can never be broken. And as we feed ourselves, we nourish each other. And as we think our thoughts, we impact the energy of each other. So I just know and affirm that what I take in, I do so with an eye towards everyone else on this incredible journey. And as I think positive, uplifting thoughts that bring joy and peace to my fellow traveler. I am so grateful for the knowledge of this eternal gift, and I release this to the universe to come back to all in a beautiful bubble of love and light. And so it is. Our reading today is from 365 Days of Science of Mind. I recognize that the unity of all humankind is of divine origin. I believe there is but one spirit in which everyone lives, moves, and has his being. In this spirit, I am directly unified with all people. I recognize this spirit as individualized in everyone. Therefore, I am learning to see every person I meet in the light of this divine and changeless truth. There is one spirit diffused through all humanity. With this spirit and everyone, I hold communion. In a hand clasp, I feel its warmth and color. In the exchange of thought, I feel the presence and the activity of the divine mind. In the blessing of friendship, I sense its love. I am separated from none, united with all, and with the eternal light itself. And as I go among people, I know that the presence of pure spirit is within me, which I recognize, blesses everyone I meet, tends to heal everything I touch, brings gladness into the life of everyone I contact. Therefore, I am a blessing to myself, to humankind, and to every day in which I live. And so it is.
Farther the lands you have ever imagined, deeper than even the oceans of blue. An open horizon is waiting like morning, waking the dreamer who's living in you. So now go with the wind at your back and the sun on your face, with a song in your heart and the promise of grace. Go in peace and in truth and let love lead your way. Go with God. Go with God. Stronger than will in the soul of a fighter, higher than hope in the heart of a child. There is a longing, a yearning inside us. It's reaching for heaven and won't be denied. If you go with the wind at your back and the sun on your face, with a song in your heart and the promise of grace. Go in peace and in truth and let love lead your way. Go with God. Go with God. So now go with the wind at your back and the sun on your face, with a song in your heart and the promise of grace. Go in peace and in truth and let love lead your way. Go with God. Go with God. So now go Good morning, everybody. I'm Liliane Pilot, and it is my very great pleasure to be speaking with you today. The talk today is called Fear to Faith, and it's not exactly a new phrase, but I hope that we'll be able to bring some new ideas to it. Recently, someone confided in me they felt like they were moving into a higher vibration, and they were really excited about these expanded feelings, but they felt they were still hanging on to old energy patterns because they didn't know how all the work was going to get done. She said, "While I'm feeling so enlightened, who will cook? Who will clean?" And I think a lot of people feel like this. As we move into an expanded awareness, we experience a sense of euphoria that is so powerful we don't want it to stop. And then the brakes come on. Oh my God, how do I do this? How do I maintain this blissful feeling and manage life? It really shouldn't be that tough. God is handling the situation. We do not have to sort out how things will work out. Our job is to know that they will and to continue to put one foot in front of the other. It's called faith. But faith is a very, very personal journey. There's a story of a little girl who's holding her newborn baby sister, and she says to her, "Please remind me what God looks like, 'cause I forget." And recently, I was reading through an old journal, and I found notes on a powerful meditation I had during my prac training. In this meditation, I could feel my body like a warm shell wrapped around me, and I was slipping down the spiral. And all of a sudden, I could feel my brain buzzing away up here, so I gave it something to do to keep itself occupied and amused so I could just go into this feeling. And then I heard the Father speak, and he said, "Settle and be with me." And I said, this is what my heart yearns for, but I'm afraid. What will I leave behind? And he said, "Everything." And I had this surge of emotion, and then I said, "Then what will I have left?" And he said, "Everything." And so I agreed, and I melted into a place of deep peace and comfort. And this sense of knowing just arrived within me, and it said, "I know the truth, I am the truth." And I realized that it was all me. I was already with Spirit, and I was loath to move from this precious and delicious and intoxicating time. And I felt my awareness expand out into the room, and then the meditation was over. But I was altered in that moment. I'd completely forgotten about that experience, and I realize now sometimes it's best to keep these things to ourselves until they've taken form. Hafiz wrote, I love Hafiz, this is one of my favorite. I heard God laughing. It's the Daniel Ladinsky translation. So Hafiz wrote, "Start seeing everything as God, but keep it a secret. Become like a man who is awestruck and nourished, listening to a golden nightingale sing in a beautiful foreign language, while God invisibly nests upon its tongue. Who can tell you in this world that when a dog runs up to you wagging its ecstatic tail, you lean down and whisper in its ear, 'Beloved, I'm so glad you are happy to see me. Beloved, I am so glad, so very glad you have come.'" So, why would we keep it a secret? I think that perhaps it's because unless we have learned to speak
the word, as few have done, our inexact language can only dilute the fragrance of the one altogether lovely. Think of it this way. If you're in the wilderness and you have a little tinder box, a little striker, and you're trying to start a fire, you take some very, very dry lichen and moss or whatever, you get a little tiny spark going, and you get that burning, and very carefully, you add little threads of other dry things until you have an actual flame. But even that flame is fragile, and so you are still very careful while you add more flammables until you are able to put on the wood and create a roaring fire. When we believe, when we have faith, when we are so moved, as I was in that meditation, we want to shout it from the rooftops. We want to cast the doubters aside. But we must not shout until that divine spark within us has become a roaring fire, so that we don't smother it, so that we don't cast upon the coals of humanity our own blanket of doubt, or allow the doubt of others to be that blanket. We do this, we have these amazing experiences, and we grow and we expand and we become more present, and then we forget. And I think this is really the true value of journaling, so that we can go back and go, oh, yes, I've been here already. I know this already. The egoic mind does not live in faith. It lives in the appearance of what is around us, and that's why faith can appear so difficult. The mind is asked to believe in something greater despite all external appearance. And for many people, faith is elusive. Faith in what? How? How does it work? I repeat, Spirit is handling the situation. We don't have to figure everything out. We just have to practice knowing our highest and best is unfolding before us, and then take action commensurate with that knowing. Our only job is to move into a heart-based experience, because here we can know faith. In the Wizard of Oz, the Wicked Witch of the West writes in big smoky letters in the sky, "Surrender, Dorothy!" And of course, she wants Dorothy to surrender to her. But ultimately, Dorothy must surrender her fears to realize there's no place like home, and home is in her own backyard. It's a great metaphor, because home is in our own yard. It's inside us, and everything we need is here. Created a Fear to Faith workshop, which is taught at many centers for spiritual living, and I took it during my prac training. It's pretty cool. You get to color a lot, and I like that. But honestly, as I look back, I felt like a bit of an imposter. I mean, I got it, but I didn't completely buy into it. Not right away. That required something of me I was not yet comfortable with. I had to acknowledge the fear in my life before I could begin to dissipate it and create the space for faith. Not to mention that pesky G word that kept coming up. So I'm sure you've heard this before: fear, false evidence appearing real. Mary said, "Fear is often a vivid imagination that has no base in reality and no foundation in fact." And we learn this as we move towards something better. Every time I go through Alamogordo, there's this huge billboard, and it's advertising a technology solutions company, but in huge letters it says, "Believe in better." And I see it every time I go to town, and I do believe in better. I have faith in the ultimate goodness of mankind. I have faith in the goodness of our God selves, and I realize that there seems to be a lot of evidence to the contrary, but in my bones, I believe in goodness. It took me a while to get there. A lot of people want to talk about all the problems in the world. They watch the news relentlessly. They check out all the links. They read all the reports. And some people are discerning about the information they take on board, but many are not. I have a friend who is a capital C conspiracy theorist, and she regularly sends me links to various things, a lot about COVID, of course, lately, ostensibly to prove to me once and for all that COVID is a huge hoax. And she's certainly not alone in her belief, and there's many questions that are yet to be answered about this global condition. There's very little consistent information coming from any source. But at the end of the day, then what? Let's say I'm convinced that COVID is one huge conspiracy. Then what? Oh, well, then you'll be informed. They tell me you'll know what's really going on. And then what? Because at the end of the day, all I can do is manage my own mind, keep myself from spiraling into fear-based behaviors. As Rumi says, move within, but don't move the way fear makes you move. And have faith that goodness is working itself out in my life, in your life, in all life. It's called faith. I've had a recurring dream. Well, actually, it's a recurring location in a dream. The dream keeps moving itself forward. And the first time I recall having this dream, I was living somewhere where I looked down into like a neighbor's yard, and there was a big brick wall around the yard and then a glassed-in porch, and all of a sudden, as happens in dreams, I'm in the porch, and I'm like, I'm in their porch, I shouldn't be here. Now, as this dream has progressed, the garden or the backyard area has become more lush, more intricate, and there's more going on there, and I've noticed less of a feeling of being an interloper. So a couple of weeks ago, I had this dream again, and it was fantastic. I mean, I highly recommend dreams like this if you can arrange them. In the back corner of the yard was this beautiful, lush area, vines and trees and flowers, and what took my attention were these two hummingbirds, and they were doing some sort of a dance, like they were maybe mating or something. One hummingbird was this tiny, tiny, crimson red creature, and it had a little swoop-de-doo on his head like the desert quail, and had a little gold dot in the middle of it. And the other hummingbird was larger, but had these incredible turquoise blue colors. And as I was looking at them, they were fussing with this chrysalis, as far as I could tell. And there was a lot of fluttering around, and they were removing layers to reveal this shiny, huge, black, rich-looking pupa. And I moved in closer to look at that. It was astonishing. And then there was this fantastic tropical bird right behind that in colors I had never even seen before. And while I was looking at all of this, moving further and further into this delight, I became aware of a woman on a balcony, basically where I used to stand and look down on the yard, and she was looking at me. And you know what? She could have been a painting looking at me because she was just completely impassive. There was nothing. There was no judgment. There was nothing. And when I awoke, I realized I had lost the sense that this garden was someone else's paradise, a place that I shouldn't be. I'd gone from feeling like an interloper to feeling like I belonged, that I should be there. And this has not been my condition for a lot of my life. A feeling of not being good enough to be there kept me from feeling connected to other people, to Source. And yet I believed there was something to have faith in. Something was impelling me to move forward, and so I just kept practicing believing, and that's what faith is. It's practicing believing. I think I want to pull again from another Hafiz, just a couple of lines. He says, I am happy even before I have a reason. I am full of light even before the sky can greet the sun or the moon. It's practicing believing. Recently, a film crew came out to the Dome's Nature Retreat. It's a remote, for those of you who don't know, a remote retreat my husband and I run. They came out from Florida. They stayed for 21 days and shot a feature film there. It was pretty cool, pretty chaotic, but pretty cool. And anyway, I was talking one day to one of the actors, and I said, you know, I was a performer. I've been in the arts most of my life. I've done all kinds of things, but there was always a part of me that felt not quite good enough, like I wasn't part of the community and I couldn't really pull the rabbit out of the hat and excel at my art or my theater or my music or whatever it was that I was doing. And it's just the last couple of years I've started growing this faith in myself. And he said, you're just describing exactly how I feel all the time. I'm making this movie, and in the back of my head, I can just see all the Instagram posts going, oh my God, this guy really sucks. And I thought, wow, you know, that really surprised me. I'm looking at this guy. He's young and handsome, and he's excellent shape. He's kind. He's a really nice guy. He was in the military. He did 11 tours of duty or something like that. He studied music. He took up acting. He has all these wonderful things going on. And yet, here's this guy telling me, yeah, I feel insecure too. And it was one of those moments of just realizing our humanity. So many people feel this way. So what pulls us forward? It's faith. It's faith in something better, faith in being better, faith in moving forward, being called to something. And we must have faith in the possibility that we will succeed and we'll achieve our goals, or we'd never try. Faith is what causes scientists to pour their lives into studying and trying to prove a theory or a principle. It's faith. So I have to wonder, when I meet somebody who says any notion of a supreme being is just baloney, you know, science can't prove it, so it ain't so, and you guys are all idiots. And I wonder, wow, where's the win in that one? Where's the win in not having faith in something beautiful and potent and life-affirming and enlivening, miraculous and magical? I believe in magic. I do have faith in God, and my faith grew even more while I was writing about it, just like my gratitude grew when I was writing a talk about gratitude, and my love grew when I wrote about love, because I focused my attention on them, and they grew. We have to practice faith. Morrissey also said, God has already done everything he's going to do. The ball is now in your court. If you want success, if you want wisdom, if you want to be prosperous and healthy, you're going to have to do more than meditate and believe. You must boldly declare words of faith and victory over yourself and your family. It's powerful words. I don't know what God is. I can't describe God. I can't give you any pictures or absolutes in order to define God. But what I call God is some force field of love that is so powerful that it empowers me. Some field so potent that it heals me and anyone who steps in its glow. It's a radiance so powerful it illuminates every particle in the universe. Whether or not we clear and prepare our minds to see it. This is video some of you may have seen. I saw it years ago. It's a short video of a group of people, maybe half a dozen people on a basketball court, and they're tossing a ball back and forth, and the viewer is directed to count the number of times the ball is passed. And so you're sitting there staring at this video, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and at the end of the video, people start shouting out, "I saw 24, I saw 27, 32, I counted 32. And the person leading the event says, "Right you are. There were 32, but did any of you see the gorilla?" And then they replay part of the video in slow motion, and sure enough, someone in a gorilla costume literally walks right through the people passing the ball around, and you don't even see it because you're so busy counting. And I think that's like our relationship with God. We get so focused on the appearance of what's going on around us, COVID and protests and politics, weather, storms, there's things happening all over the world. And we get so focused on staring at those things that we don't see the presence of God in every single moment, every second of our lives. And this is why it is so important to prepare the ground, till the soil, clear the mind. Stop focusing on error and focus on possibility, potential, light, hope, faith. Where we live in the mountains, dawn is now breaking with a cool snap in the air, foreshadowing. And I take every opportunity to sit in our swing under this big old alligator juniper, and I watch the chickens, and I say thank you to the trees for their life-affirming oxygen. I grew up surrounded by fields and trees, so this isn't a new environment for me, but what is new is the gratitude. And from my current vantage point, I can see that what brought me here is at least 50 shades of faith. As I look back over my life, I can see the full spectrum of experience and emotion and reaction. And I can see that despite some challenging times, and I won't discuss how many of those I brought upon myself, there was always something pulling me forward, even when I didn't realize it. And so what pulls us forward? What causes us to be better versions of ourselves? What guides us into deeper and richer experiences? And I can only call that faith. For why else would we push ourselves so determinedly? Is that a word? Why would we be so determined to push ourselves into this invisible something that no one can describe or define or quantify, knowing that it's going to enrich and deepen our lives? Faith is a feeling. It's a belief in something we can't quantify. And we tend to use the word faith to discuss our relationship with God, but that's not necessarily so. I know someone whose faith lies in the absolute belief that if something can go wrong, it will. And he has faith that life is hard, and you basically go to work all day, and then eventually you die. That's what he believed in. And there's a lot of people like him. I've experienced ridicule for believing in God, but I'd rather have faith in something uplifting, something greater than me, something beautiful, rather than dragging my feet around the planet for no apparent reason. I went recently to a Christian bookstore to buy a leather cover for my Science of Mind textbook. At the end of the transaction, the woman assisting me said, "I hope you like your new Bible cover and have a great day." And I heard myself say, "Thanks, I'm almost certain I will." I just, as soon as I said it, I thought, wow, did you hear that? I'm almost certain I will. So I said to the woman, this is really interesting. I'm writing this talk about faith right now, and I have a faith that things are good, and yet you just blessed me with a good day. And I said, yeah, I'm pretty sure I will. And I realize it's so important for us to be aware of how we speak. How is our faith to remain in place and to grow if we verbally doubt it? And she looked at me completely blankly. She had no idea what I was talking about, because I wasn't talking about a blind faith in God. I was talking about choosing faith. I was talking about taking responsibility for my words. I was talking about creating my environment through my own language. And she literally said, whatever, bye. It shocked me a little bit. It was one of those moments when I realized millions of people talk about faith without any real consideration of what their role in it is. So I'm going to leave you with one more dream. I must have had this dream 30 years ago, and I can still recall it in crystal clear detail. So I was in this medieval castle, and I was in the great room, and there was this huge, long table, and I was there with some fellow students and our master. So I'm sitting here, the master is here, another student across from me, and another student at the other end. And the master asked a question, an eternal question, and the answer literally descended into me, and it was like music. And I was like a lightning had just struck me. I was like, oh my goodness, I was so illuminated. But the master didn't come my way around the table to ask for everyone's answer. She went the other way. And so now I was trying to listen deeply to the other students, because I knew that was important, but I also didn't want to forget this incredible thing that had come into my mind. And so by the time it got around to me, I neither recalled what the students had said nor my answer. It had all dissipated. I couldn't hold on to this sort of ephemeral idea. And I was really embarrassed, and I ran out. And as soon as I got outside, I heard a gunshot. And my heart started pounding, and I made my way around the wall and down into this little gully, and I could see before me the archway of a bridge, and there was a road going across, and I heard clip, clop, clip, clop, clip, clop, and along came two horses pulling one of those old wooden wagons like you see in, I don't know, Little House on the Prairie or an old Wild West movie. And there was this huge wooden carving of Buddha on the front bench seat, driving the horses. And again, as happens in dreams, all of a sudden I'm on the bench seat right behind, and I'm looking at this Buddha is so beautifully carved, I can actually see the rolls of fat carved in the back of his neck. And I put out my right hand, and as my palm touched the back of his neck, it became flesh beneath my hand, and he turned and looked over his left shoulder, and he looked at me and said, "There is something blocking you, but once it is removed, all will be revealed." I spent nearly 30 years trying to figure that out, and I finally came to it. It was fear blocking me, and as it has systematically been removed from my life, all is being revealed. I get to live my life with intention, and faith is paving the way. Thank you. And so I know, whatever we may call it, whatever language we may wish to use, whatever imagery we need to create a sense of it in our own minds, there is just simply one thing. There is one blessed thing, one great thing, one monumental illumination that I call God, existing in and as and through each and every one of us. There is no spot that God is not. There is no separation. There is no over there and over here. There is only God. And I breathe that in. And sometimes I have to remind myself to breathe that in, and that's okay. Remind and remind and remind and breathe. There is only God. And so I know that this journey that I am taking upon this earth is enthused and infused and enlivened and enlightened entirely by the beauty and wonder of the one altogether lovely, of the supreme, of God. I know that as I breathe in this knowing and remind myself again and again, what I experience is buoyancy and light and love and compassion. Beauty all around us, beauty before us, beauty behind us. I walk in beauty. It is my life. And every precious moment that comes to me enlivens that knowing and creates even more beauty. And so I say thank you. I say thank you, thank you, thank you to every precious second that comes to me, every bird, every animal, every signpost, every billboard that says, believe in better, every moment that presents itself to me to give me the opportunity to remember, to remember, to remember. I walk the walk of God, and what a great gift that is. So I say thank you. With great, great gratitude, I release these words into the law, knowing that this is all already so, simply waiting for me to know it. And so it is.
Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I dream of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue, and the dreams that you dare to dream really do come true. Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me. Somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly. Birds fly over the rainbow, and now, so I know, can I. Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me. Somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly. Birds fly over the rainbow. Now, so I know, can I. Birds fly over the rainbow, and now, so I know, can I.
So I want to thank you all for joining us today. It's so wonderful to know that we are still connected, even through these amazing virtual techniques. And again, thank you to Randy Brown for all the work he puts into putting our video services together. So thank you, stay safe, stay well. I love you all. Have a great week.